pretty rare if you're a high school baseball coach out there to say, yeah, I got 5 guys playing in the major leagues right now. But that is exactly the case for Jim Ozella, a baseball coach at Hart High School in California. He already had Trevor Bauer, James Shields, Mike Montgomery, and Trevor Brown, and then Tyler Glasnow made his major league debut just this past week. And Jim Ozella joins us now here on MLB Network Radio. Jim, it's Jeff Joyce and Mel Anthony. Good to talk to you today. How are you?
Morning, guys. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you for joining us today.
Doing well. I'm guessing that you've got to get the MLB.com package here to be able to keep up on all your former guys. This is great.
Yeah, I got 2 of them throwing today, so I got to somehow figure out how I can see their highlights or see them throw a little bit today. So
what happens if they play?
It's really exciting. It really is.
What happens if they play against each other?
You don't root for anybody then.
It's just like
you just watch with a fun heart, and you hope for the best,
Yeah, Shields and Montgomery play both pitching today. But what is it like? I mean, you got to be like a proud parent to see all of these guys making it to the major league level and being successful major league players.
It's really exciting. It's exciting to see these guys develop. It's these guys. I dealt with them when they were young, when they were high school kids, and now they're men and their families are developing, and it's really exciting, to see them reach their goals. It's really a proud moment, obviously for me, but for their families. They come from great families, and it's really a highlight for the school.
Jim, of all these guys, Glasnow, Shields, Bauer, Montgomery, and Trevor Brown, who was the most obvious big leaguer? Who was the best athlete that you saw? I mean, who in your mind did you say, this guy has got a really good chance to be in the big leagues? Who was the most obvious?
Well, I think, if you look at it from down the road a little bit, Trevor, when he was at UCLA, was pitcher of the year in the NCAA and, really was coming on. James was drafted out of high school, but was drafted, kind of low. Tyler Glasnow was drafted kind of low. Montgomery was a first rounder. So he was kind of he was a big time guy with a lot of attention. But Bauer is pretty, probably certainly the highest drafted of the 5. And I'd say probably his accomplishments at UCLA kind of put a stamp on him as being a guy.
Who's the guy, I guess, on the other side of that, instead of being maybe the biggest can't miss when he was with you, who's the guy that's maybe gotten better or improved the most since you've had him?
Well, Trevor Brownie's, he really had only one offer out of high school, UCLA. And, he went to UCLA and played a number of positions and, caught and played the infield. So, really his development's really been skyrocketing. And, I really think, of all the guys, he's got really a real bright career because he can catch and sit behind Posey for a while. And, hopefully he just keeps developing more and more. But, he's really – that's a great story right there. So I think, probably the guy who moved the farthest probably be Brownie.
What about these guys as young pitchers? What is the one thing they all had in common as far as number of pitches, learning to pitch, learning to take care of their arm? What's the best piece of advice young pitchers can learn from them? All 4 of those guys were really committed at a young age, and even now in today's world, very committed to taking care of themselves, doing all their preparation work, doing their conditioning, being prepared to pitch, and just continuing to move on. A lot of them, come back in the off season, come through the gate and work out with some of our kids. And it's kind of, really a great sign for our kids to see how these guys who are in the big leagues, don't take anything for granted. They really work hard on their conditioning, work hard on, staying in shape year round. And I think, for the most part, we'll knock on wood a little bit. Hopefully they all stay healthy through their career.
We're talking to Jim Ozella, high school baseball coach at Hart High School in California. Has produced 5 current major leaguers. Well, I guess Tyler Glass now technically is in the minor leagues, but he just made his debut this week. Jim, what's it like now being a high school coach, especially with pitchers and all this scrutiny that's on coaches for as far as using these guys now with all the pitching injuries that we have? How have you had to kind of change over the years to the point we're at now?
Well, things have really changed. When I started doing high school coaching back in the 80s, you really didn't count pitches and you really didn't worry about all that. Today, you really, there's kids who are playing in a lot of teams, club teams in the summer, scout teams, high school teams, have pitching coaches. So you got to really, give them a little bit of common sense as to how to take care of themselves and how to maintain and, what to do afterwards. And it's really a little bit of it's a subject that obviously you guys deal with all the time with all the, injuries that are at Major League Baseball. I think it's really a subject that we've had a lot of success with, but, maybe we've just been fortunate. I don't know. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You want to also, develop, but at the same time, you don't want to, abuse. And those arms are magic. And if you can kind of develop them, we do a lot of long toss. So it's kind of, that's kind of been one of our philosophical ideas at Hart. So it's kind of paid off for us. And I know Bauer, he's big time into it. So, you got to be careful. It's no doubt on it. You don't want guys going down.
Do you have like strict numbers that you adhere to now for pitch count kind of things? Or is it kind of general ballpark stuff?
Yeah, kind of. We get into that 100 pitch count. We're probably that guy's probably out. But really a lot of it determined by how easy the game's going, how many quick outs have there been. We really in the summertime we usually tell guys, hey, you're going to throw 3 or 4 innings and that's it. And then we bring somebody else in for 3 or 4 innings. It's kind of like that scenario. But when you get to that 100 pitch deal, I don't like going over that too much.
Jim, what about players at the high school now? How inspired are they by these players that have made the big leagues? Do they follow them? Would they be a White Sox fan now because James Shields is with the White Sox? Do they follow these players? Trevor Bauer with the Indians, are they pulling for the Indians because Trevor Bauer's in their rotation?
Well, our guys in our dugout, they're all over what our guys are doing. They want to know, they want to stay in touch with what's going on. Like I said, our guys, a lot of our guys come back in the winter and work out with our guys, so they see our kids. They see those guys, and so it's really kind of a great relationship. But yeah, our guys are when Tyler threw the other day, we had camp in the morning and we were trying to get back home so we could see him pitch. So guys are they got the phones out and, hey coach, he's got a 0 in the first inning. I'm like, hey, let's hurry up and let's get out of here so we can go home and watch the game. So it's a fun deal. It's a fun deal. The kids really get excited about, what these guys are doing. It's motivational. It's inspiring. And for our kids, when they get to play catch with them, it's a real big deal.
Jeff, let me follow up on that for a second. Do you have any memorabilia of these guys, like any baseball uniforms or pictures or anything like that, with the Hart High School baseball uniform and then maybe the professional uniform?
In our clubhouse, we've got, pictures from every team that I've been with since I came in 2000, and we got team pictures up, and so those guys are there. One picture that we have up in the clubhouse for sure is a few years ago when James and Coco Crisp got in a little bit of a tiff there, and there was a punch thrown, and so we had that picture. That's kind of blown up in the clubhouse. So
that was a pretty good job.
That
was a good job by Shields ducking that punch, by the way.
Yeah, he ducked that thing. That was a pretty good move on his part. Yeah.
Coco's dad, I think, was a boxer and taught him those moves. Hey, let me ask you specifically about some of these guys. Trevor Bauers really seems to be having his breakout year this year, and we've always known about the talent, like you said, in college and a high draft pick. When he was with you, number one, did he have the crazy workout regimen where he just, he did all the stuff, like you mentioned the long toss, but he used to have this crazy workout regimen for like an hour and a half before starts? And number two, did he throw like 6 or 7 pitches back then like he does now?
He throws 90 now, doesn't he, John?
His workout was innovative. It's creative. He had that workout in high school. And I'm going to say one thing for it. He was extremely dedicated to it. And I think that's an important lesson for kids. Very dedicated to it. And he was a big believer in it. He did not throw 6 pitches for us. I mean, he probably was a 4-pitch guy. That was pretty much primarily it. Maybe he was kind of tinkering with those things on the side, but really he was pretty much a fastball, breaking ball, slider, and a change. And, he was a young kid at that time. He was still growing. But I'll say what, he was dedicated. He's still obviously dedicated to his program. And I think that's, why he's been successful.
Yeah. What about these guys? Have you seen these guys pitch in big league stadiums?
I've been. It's kind of funny. Last summer, I worked in the collegiate league up in the Northwest. I was a pitching coach for the Walla Walla Sweets, and so Mike was in Seattle at the time, and we were on a road trip in Bremerton, and so I took the boat over and saw him throw a bullpen before the game. And got to stay and watch about half the game and then got back on the boat because we had a game that night. But it's kind of been hard to see because, I'm still doing high school coaching, and a lot of times their games are, tied in with our games. And so I'll get to the stadiums, but, a lot of times I get the TV on when I get home, and I'll get to see these guys throw. And, that's inspiring, but it's kind of hard with the schedule sometimes.
Hey, let me ask you, Tyler Glasnow made his major league debut this past week. 6'8". Was he that tall in high school, and did he have the nasty curveball in high school?
When he left us, he was only about 6'4", 6'5", so he's really shot up out of our high school. Real dynamic breaking ball, real sharp, off the table, and the velocity was just continuing to go up. When he was with us, he was probably a low 90s guy. High 88 guy. But his breaking ball was sharp. The rotation was really a biter. And, that a lot of people believe in scouting that, that is a little bit of a sign that down the road the velocity is going to continue to go up, and obviously it has for him.
Hey, let me ask you kind of general. Now that you've had all these guys, obviously you've probably talked ad nauseum with a ton of scouts about all this stuff. What are some of the main things they're asking you? What do the scouts want to know about these guys when they're talking to you?
Dedication is one of the major focal points. Scouts want to know how dedicated these kids are today to their craft. How into it are they? Are they really into this, or is this just a hobby on their part? Obviously they're looking for talented kids. And they're good at their craft. They know what talent is. So I don't really think that's, a whole lot of the questions that are asked to me. But I think a lot of times is, their work ethic, their dedication, their outside the game activities. Is it things that are conducive to being successful down the road? And, we're in a world today where there's a lot more distractions. And I think in regards to baseball and the scouting world, they want to know, if they put an investment into this kid, is this going to pan out for them?
Hey, Coach, it was fun catching up with you today, and I know you're busy watching all these guys, but that's pretty awesome that you got 5 of them now in the major leagues. But thanks for some time today.
Hey, I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot, guys. Best of luck to you.